obviously everyone's been talking about that Inoue fight. Is that something you still want?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's been spoke about that much for it not to happen. Everyone wants it, so let's make it happen.
It gets through again, Richie. That must be, well, I've lost count of how many have danced off, and he's turned his back, and he's inviting balls to come in to have another go. Yeah, oh, it's all over, John.
They called him Mini Mike Tyson, and that's when he dared to challenge Naoya Inoue. His flawless record made him believe he could. But Inoue isn't just another fighter. The ring is his battlefield, and he never leaves survivors.
Seeing where it started off, you know, it was right at the bottom on the small hall shows, selling tickets with people coming out to support me.
This was a kid from Kirkby, Liverpool, plastering walls by day, plastering faces at night. And when he said he wanted Naoya Inoue, the monster himself, people laughed. How could a guy who barely stood 5.5 feet tall with no Olympic background talk about destroying one of the most feared fighters alive? But that's the thing about Ball, he wasn't supposed to care. He believed every word.
I wouldn't just be eating him and then stepping off him and respecting him. It'd be full on from the opening bell.
Is that something you target in the next?
Ball's story doesn't start under bright lights. It starts in a small town where fights weren't for medals. They were for respect. Kirkby isn't the kind of place that breeds soft fighters. He started with Thai boxing before switching to the traditional ring, and nothing about his path screamed future champion. He had just 25 amateur fights, no national titles, no shiny records, no scouts lining up, just long nights in unforgiving gyms, tough sparring, and a stubbornness that refused to break. By the time he turned pro at 20 in 2017, there was no press conference, no hype video. It was just Nick Ball, gloves on, head down, quietly grinding.
My fights are always exciting, so people are going to continue to watch and tune into my fights at the highest level, which is world champion. But
this chip on his shoulder became his weapon. Nobody expected anything from him, and that's why he was dangerous. While others had big sponsors and TV deals, Ball was fighting on short notice, in tiny venues, for survival money. He wasn't building a brand, he was building scars. The style he carried came from necessity. Walk forward, pressure nonstop, break your opponent mentally and physically. And it worked. By 2020, after 11 straight wins, people started noticing that this nobody wasn't losing rounds.
Big opportunity, so I'm very thankful that I've got it and I'm here fighting, yeah.
The turning point came when Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions picked him up. That was the first crack of daylight. Finally, he had a platform, but the attitude never changed. Ball didn't suddenly become careful or flashy. His style stayed the same, relentless, disciplined, and unforgiving. Fans started calling him the small hall savage because no matter where you put him, he fought like a man trying to kick the door down.
The right hand of Isaac Lowe. Let's have a look at it here. What a punch that is.
The early fights under Warren showed exactly who he was. Against Isaac Lowe, on the undercard of Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte, the world finally got to see him under the bright lights. Lowe talked big, dismissed Ball as too small, too raw. That ended badly. By the second round, Lowe was on the canvas after a thunderous left hook. By the sixth, he was trapped on the ropes, unable to keep Ball off him. It was a statement. This wasn't hype. This was real power in a small package.
Into this fight, stay in this fight with everything against him, it seems, at the moment. And there's another shot. Isaac Lowe's legs have buckled. He turns away the towel.
Ball didn't slow down. He kept taking fights others avoided. Rangy fighters like Nathaniel Kakalolo, who tried to box and move, but eventually broke under the pressure. Mexican southpaws like Jesus Ramirez Rubio, who came to fight and got dismantled. Then came Isaac Dogbo, a former world champion. For the first time, Ball was tested. The reaction was instant. Who is this kid? Where did he come from? Why is he fighting like someone stole his paycheck? That's what made him different. He wasn't just winning, he was making a point.
I want to take what I've worked so hard for to get, and I know how hard it is to get, so I know how he's feeling, but, you know, this is not up for taking.
But Ball wasn't about to stop with one big win. The next challenge was Nathaniel Kakalolo, a tall, rangy fighter who came in late as a replacement, which meant little time to prepare. Kakalolo had reach, height, and nothing to lose, and for the first few rounds he used it well. Long jabs, movement, trying to keep Ball away. But Ball is like water, leaking through cracks. Eventually, he finds a way in.
Whether they want it to happen, and they've spoke about it that much for it not to happen. So even Turkey himself, he says he wants it to happen. So
round by round, he closed the distance, upped the tempo, and started breaking him down. By the 12th, Kakalolo was a man running out of answers. Ball pinned him to the ropes, turned up the heat, and forced the stoppage. It wasn't pretty, but it showed something important. Ball could adapt.
Rubio, whose only defeat was 5.5 years ago, he's been unbeaten in 15 since then, including a couple of draws.
Then came Jesus Ramirez Rubio, a Mexican southpaw, tough and willing. Rubio wasn't there to survive, he came to win. But Ball's style isn't easy to solve. From the opening bell, he went back to his pressure game. Head low, gloves tight, throwing heavy leather. Rubio tried to fire back, but Ball's pace was too much. By the end, Rubio was overwhelmed and stopped. Another name on Ball's growing list.
Rubio bravely trying to fight back, but he got it down.
And then, the biggest name so far, Isaac Dogbo. This was no prospect, no late replacement. Dogbo was a former world champion, a fighter who had been on big stages, and someone with enough power to get respect. Finally, Ball was up against someone who could test him.
Good solid work by Ball in there. He's taller than Paul Stevenson.
And Dogbo did. In the second round, he landed a sharp shot that wobbled Ball for a moment, the kind of punch that could change a fight. But that's the thing about Ball. When he's hurt, he doesn't back off. He bit down, marched forward, and by the middle rounds, it was clear Dogbo couldn't keep him off. Ball bullied the veteran, pushed him back, and by the final bell, there was no doubt who the better man was. Ball left with a wide points win and something even more valuable: legitimacy.
Dogbo's the type to come back.
By now, a pattern was forming. Whether it was taller opponents, slick movers, or experienced veterans, the result was the same: relentless pressure, brutal pace, and a refusal to be denied. On paper, he was almost always the smaller man, the less experienced, the less hyped. In reality, he was the one walking out with his hand raised.
Oh, there's the right hand. He's been waiting all night for it, and he landed. What a momentum.
And that's what made the Ray Vargas fight so frustrating. This was the big one, his first world title shot. Vargas, a two-division champion, tall, rangy, and awkward, looked like a nightmare on paper. But Ball came in like he always did. Pressure, pressure, pressure. He even dropped Vargas twice, stunning the champion and silencing the doubters. But when the final bell rang, the scorecards didn't match the fight many had seen. It was ruled a draw. No belt, no coronation, just frustration.
113 to 113. This bout is a split draw.
From that point on, Ball's mindset changed. More ruthless, more focused, more determined. The polite altar boy from Kirkby was long gone. This was a man who knew how close he was to everything he'd worked for. And next time, he wasn't going to let three people with pens decide his fate. Nick Ball's second shot at glory didn't come with fireworks or long build-up speeches. It came with pressure, his kind of pressure. The opponent was Raymond Ford, an undefeated southpaw with matchroom backing, slick, talented, and young. Ford wasn't just another fighter. He was the type that promoters love: marketable, flashy, and good at avoiding trouble. But here's the thing: Ball doesn't allow you to avoid trouble. From the opening round, he marched forward like a man with a grudge. His head movement was tight, his guard was high, and he started ripping uppercuts and hooks that immediately found Ford's face. The early rounds were a nightmare for Ford. Blood started showing, and the fight was getting ugly fast. But boxing isn't a straight line. By round 7, Ford reminded everyone why he was undefeated. A sharp left hand opened Ball's nose, and suddenly there was blood everywhere. It wasn't just Ford bleeding anymore. Ball was leaking badly, and the momentum swung. This turned into a war of attrition, two guys trading, both refusing to step back. And when the final bell rang, the judges read it out: 115 to 113. Nick Ball had done it, and new WBA featherweight champion. The kid from Liverpool, the small Hall Savage, was finally king.
Yeah, everyone wants it to happen, don't they? Everyone's speaking about it, everyone's asking me about it, so that is the fight that everyone wants to happen.
Now, at this point, the conversation shifted. The whispers about Naoya Inoue were no longer whispers. They were headlines. could this little wrecking ball, this 5-foot-something pressure machine, actually challenge the monster? Inoue was one of the most feared fighters in the sport. He's fast, technical, and hits like a truck. And yet, here was Nick Ball saying straight-faced, show him who the monster is. Fans were split. Some loved the confidence, others thought it was madness. But that's what made it interesting. The contrast is what made people talk. Inoue is precision, a surgeon with gloves. Ball is chaos, a storm in a small package. One cuts you open with accuracy, the other tries to drown you with volume. And the division, which once overlooked Ball, was now asking the question, can this little wrecking ball really crash into the monster and survive?
I'm the man to beat him. But
Are you the man to beat him?
Of course I am, yeah.
Then came the hype machine. Everyone wanted to see it, but history has a way of reminding fans monsters don't scare easily. Inoue thrives on breaking pressure fighters. He's dismantled guys who tried to walk him down. He's used to being the smaller man and turning it into an advantage. That's why this matchup felt so unpredictable. Ball's entire career was built on doing what people said he couldn't. But Inoue was a different level, a once-in-a-generation talent. So the story shifted from can Ball win to what happens when an unstoppable motor meets an immovable force.
Yeah, I wouldn't say easily. I wouldn't really know until I get in there with him. That's me real honest answer. But he's been hurt. He's been hurt of lesser people than me. And once he's got up, they've sort of been shocked when he's got up and went on the back foot themselves, whereas I wouldn't do that. I'd be full on him for the full 12 rounds out.
And here's the thing. Whether Ball fulfills his promise or gets humbled, the fact remains. Boxing finally has something fresh at featherweight. The sport loves characters, and Nick Ball isn't just a fighter, he's an event. From plastering walls in Liverpool to plastering names across the rankings, he's turned being overlooked into being undeniable. So when people say new Mike Tyson promised to destroy Inoue, you can feel the weight of it. It's not just hype. It's a kid who fought his way through tiny halls, beat champions, survived bloodbaths, and now stares down the scariest man in the division. Whether that promise holds or crumbles, one thing is certain. Boxing just found its newest chaos agent, and he's not afraid of monsters. Like this video and make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more updates.